You're watching Seven Rivers Sports here on KQEG. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, into wellness, into fitness. Well, as we tape this show this week, we are in the holiday season, and appropriately enough, with Christmas right behind us, we're joined on the set by people from the Christian community, and that's Luther High School. Head coach Joel Babinec, along with Jessi, Maedke, and Allison, Beagle. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Terry.
It's always, I've told my wife many, many times that the two places I like to officiate the best are Luther High School on the high school side and Luther College on the college side. And the reason is because of the culture. And it's just, it seems something special about Luther High School's culture, the way you greet people, just the way the whole Christian concept of education is so, it permeates throughout the school. Talk about the culture of Luther High School, Coach.
Yeah, well, that's great that you noticed that, because that really makes a difference. It's really all of us, students, athletes, coaches, parents, having an opportunity to model our faith. We are just simply showing a love that we have for our Savior, who showed the perfect love for us.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Jessi Maedke, watched you play a few times, and you have a gift as an athlete, and you know, there's an old saying: if you have a gift, use it, reward your family, and not many people have your gift, but I can see it on the floor. Talk about your evolution as a player.
I guess it's been not a hard time coming or anything, but an experience coming, you know, these 4 years of high school especially. I started out on the JV level my freshman year, which was kind of exciting, you know, the freshman with all the sophomores, a little bit scary or something, but those first 2 years on JV I think really helped me grow as a player, definitely learned some leadership skills and stuff, especially being a younger player that first year. And then getting to come up onto the varsity level junior and senior year was really a privilege in my mind, I guess, to get to play with all these amazing girls and just hone my skills as an individual and our skills as a team. It's been really cool.
Who inspired you when you were young? Because I assume that someone said, you have some athleticism, and you're going to be quite an athlete during your high school years. Mm-hmm. Let's go back down memory lane. Did somebody really inspire you and give you that encouragement?
I think I'd definitely have to say my dad, which is kind of a typical answer, you know, but we're a very basketball-orientated family here in Wisconsin, I guess. So he always we'd be out there shooting hoops, you know, when I was like 5 or something. I couldn't make anything, but or dribbling around. There's pictures of me holding a basketball since a young age and stuff. So he kind of pushed me to try it out and stuff. I guess I was just interested because he was so interested in it, and that really helped me along.
Well, it takes people to recognize that and plant a seed of encouragement, mm-hmm. And your dad sounds like he's the perfect one to do that.
Mm-hmm. He was.
Allison, Beagle, know you a little bit. I've watched you play and know your athleticism. Who inspired you when you were young?
Well, I would say my dad also. He has coached basketball a while. Like, he doesn't coach anymore, but he would coach like my brother's team or my sister's team, my team, and he's coached my younger brother's team. He just loves it, and since all my family played it, then it's just kind of like natural for me too.
Before we went on the air, you talked about a little bit about your Christian family. That's been a big part of who you are, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. When I was in 8th grade, we lost my mom to a car accident, and that just brought our whole family together and like just really pushed us like to be close to God all the time.
Do you think about her when you play, and knowing that she is your kind of spiritual leader, and she watches you from above and is so proud of you? Do you think about that?
All the time, yes.
Yeah, I think about the same thing with my mom when I'm running races and doing things, that she was my inspiration, so all of us need that. And you know, Coach, I've followed you. We've been friends for a long time, and I followed you throughout your success and know your family really well. And you just you personify leadership and what the life lessons that you have taught your own children and your athletes, your student athletes. Talk about who inspired you and maybe some of your early memories.
Yeah, I have come from a family of 4 brothers. I'm actually a twin, so we're the 2 youngest ones. But my oldest brother is 10 years older than me, and he was the one who always, early on, really inspired me as far as the vocation that I would end up taking here as being a teacher. He was, at the time, studying to be a minister in our churches, and just always had a great impact on me.
Good. And so, and you always wanted to be a coach, and I know you're teacher first and coach second. You teach the game well. You make sure your athletes play the game right, and you've had a lot of success. Let's go back down and talk about some of your athletes that have been, and your teams that have really played an impact in your coaching.
Well, early on, you have to go back, and some of those impact players happen to be 3 daughters of mine. And then you had another player like Christina Houlihan, who just was an outstanding athlete and just made a huge impact. I think back to that 2014 team. Really was probably the team that gelled at the best time. It was the team that went the furthest. We won a regional championship and played for the sectional championship that year. I see a lot of that team in this year's team as well, just as far as some attitude things, how hard they're willing to work, and hopefully we're going to gel at that right time as well.
I'll bet you will. Well, Jessi, you're coming off a big win over Sparta. Mm-hmm. And as we tape the show, you play tonight, and then after the first of the year, you're off and running again. Evaluate your progress so far this year.
It's been a fun year, definitely. A lot. Our team has come together a lot better than it did last year, which is really fun to see. And I guess personally for me, I kind of picked up a little bit where I'd ended last year, which was nice, not having to start kind of from the beginning. I've been playing more in the post this year, which I started doing at the end of last year, which has definitely awarded me more points being there in the middle of it all and stuff. So that's been nice. Yeah, I think so far it's been a pretty good season, and I'm excited for more.
And Allison, too, you're a big part of the team and a big part of the win over Sparta, and you're getting ready for tonight and then some big games after the first of the year. Do you like where you're at so far?
Yes, I do, but I know I can get better. There's always room for improvement.
What do you see as your role on the team?
Well, being a captain, I see that I need to set a good example for the younger kids, because we have like 4, I think, sophomores, and just want to look like a good leader for them.
I bet you are a leader. If you're a captain, that's an honor. You know, being a student athlete and being at Luther High School, there are expectations. Athletes are on a platform, and if athletes don't want to accept that, then perhaps they shouldn't participate. But people are watching you, and you know it's not easy with all the things going on in society. How do you see yourself as a Luther student athlete?
Well, I think I set a good example for my school. Like, I don't know, really. I really focus on school and athletics and God and all that.
And I'll bet she's a shiny example, isn't she?
Well, certainly.
Of what Luther athletes are all about. Would you agree with that, Coach?
Oh yeah,
they both are, I'm sure.
Yeah, Allison does a great job. Her effort on the court is awesome. There's so many times where we need a spark, and that spark comes from Allison.
Well, right, I can see that just in visiting with her a little bit. Well, Jessi, this first chapter of your life here, over with in the next 4 or 5 months, and you're on to something else. What's ahead for you?
Well, it's a hard question, you know. After graduation, I'm looking at going to the University of Stout for interior design.
Well,
That's-
good.
Yeah.
And that's a 4-year school, and that's what you might end up doing.
It
Huh?
might. I guess I'll see where God takes me, honestly. I'm kind of just saying, take the reins. I don't really know where I want to go.
Well, I'm sure that'll happen. And then for Allison, also, in a few months you graduate, and you're on to something else.
Yeah, right now I'm planning on just getting a job to work. I don't have any idea what I want in my future yet, so yeah.
Well, that'll happen because you're in no hurry, right? I mean, those things you'll figure those out. Well, Coach, as we talked early on about a win over Sparta, and talk about the progress of your team and what you expect the rest of the season.
Yeah, we, like the girls said a little bit earlier, there have been a lot of exciting things that have happened for us this year so far. Had a pretty tough schedule early on. We get teams like Melman, Bangor, GT, West Salem. So we've had our work cut out for us, but the girls have played really hard. Their attitude has been one of they're going to just keep going at it, and we're just really excited about what's coming up through the rest of the season. We're 7 games in and 15 to go in a regular season, and then we want a deep playoff run as well.
Good. Rapid fire, Joe. You ready for this? Before we close the first segment,
All right.
Hobbies for you, Jessi.
Oh, hobbies. I'm kind of artsy. I like to paint and do woodwork stuff and stuff with my hands like that. And reading is another hobby of mine.
Define leadership.
Leadership. I think leadership is setting your own example for people underneath you and serving those that you're supposed to be leading so that they can see that as an example.
Our viewers, what's something they may not know about you?
Something they may not know about me.
You took a trip, didn't you?
I'm going to be taking a trip, actually, yeah. January 17th, I'll be out of the country for 2 weeks in Myanmar,
Oh.
which is near Thailand.
A little missionary work?
It is, yeah.
Boy.
We're going over there with Christians Forward Southeast Asia to set up a clinic for 2 weeks for the residents there. So I'm
Wow.
super excited. It's going to be awesome.
You got room for somebody else?
I guess. We're always looking.
What's something that maybe our viewers don't know about Allison?
I wear one contact in my left eye.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And you're still a gifted student athlete, despite that. Has that ever come out during a game?
No.
Never has. Hobbies for you?
Well, I really love sports, and I like to write.
Favorite saying?
I don't know.
If we're going to ask you to describe maybe 1 or 2 words about you, what would that be?
Well, God willing, and
A shining example of what God expects out of somebody, it would be you?
yes.
Good. Well, we're going to step aside just for a minute. When we come back, 2 additional guests here on 7 Rivers Sports. We'll be right back.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team.
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to 7 Rivers Sports. Again today, the spotlight on Luther Girls Basketball. Well, Coach Joel Babinec back on the set again, and 2 new athletes joining us in this segment, Caitlin Kennedy and Cinda Protzman. Welcome to the show, girls.
Thank you.
Coach, describe in a couple words these 2 athletes.
I'll start with Caitlin. Caitlin is just a versatile player, can really play any position for us, has just great skill sets, a shooter, a rebounder, pretty much can do everything on the court for us whenever we would need it. Cinda's really come into a role as our point guard. We struggled with that in our previous season, and Cinda has just done an amazing job of filling that role. Great court vision, real competitor, and you know how important a point guard is on a team.
I do because I was a point guard at one point, so I do know that. But Caitlin Kennedy, now, if that name should resonate with our viewers, because her 3 brothers played at Luther, and all 3 of them have been on this show. You probably knew that, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Is it hard to follow in the footsteps of those really talented Luther High School student athletes?
I mean, yeah, it's hard because they were all really successful in high school, and I don't know, I look up to them a lot though, because they set a good example for me to be the best I can, so.
And you've done that. And Cinda Protzman sitting next to me, a point guard. And I've seen you play before, and you have a gift also. And what do you see as your role as that quarterback, that point guard?
I think my role is just to be able to get the ball up the floor without turning it over, which I've struggled with. But I've gotten better, and giving it to someone on my team who can just take it to the basket.
Sometimes it's people unfairly criticize point guards for turnovers when oftentimes it's teammates that are not available or come up and help the point guard. And so if you have a turnover once in a while, just think about what I just told you, and it might help you a little bit. But what do you see as the expectations, Cinda, of a Luther student athlete?
I think the expectations are really high for us. We have a higher grading scale, so that's hard, but we always put school first. And then I think really people expect more out of us on the court. You see a lot of teams doing dirty plays and doing bad things, and when you look at the Luther team, you just don't see that. We're always smiling and having fun on the court instead of, I don't know.
You know, not too long ago we had Noah Maedke, Brad Chopper, and Alex Kish on the show, and they said essentially the same thing. And watching as a broadcaster, as an official, as a fan, I've noticed the same thing, and our viewers have probably seen the same thing too. With you, Caitlin, again, following in your brother's footsteps and knowing that you're your own athlete, but being in the spotlight, being a 3-sport athlete like you are, and being an exceptional leader and a student also, is it hard to juggle all those things?
No, not really. I mean, I have a lot of time for it, and it's just what I like to do, so it's fun.
Good, you can manage all that then. Time management, a lot of people struggle with that. Speaking of time management, in your 22nd year as head coach, you have 2 conference championships, 4 regional. You were WBCA All-Star coach, and now in your 26th year as AD, plus teaching, plus following your children and all the other things you do. Time management, certainly one of your gifts.
It has to be. Yeah, there are so many different things that I have my hands in that if you don't schedule properly, something's going to suffer, and I don't want any of those things to suffer.
One of the things you've been blessed with, knowing you as a friend and knowing your family really well, is you've always it's always been a team effort with your family, and they've always been supportive and right behind you, and that's really one of your keys to success. Would you agree with that?
Most certainly. They have sacrificed a lot with not having maybe Dad around as much. The benefit of being able to coach your kids was to be able to spend that time with them as well, though. So there was there are pluses and pros and cons to everything.
You know, I can certainly agree with that, and I'm blessed with our family too, supporting me all those years. So there's a lot of similarities. Well, Caitlin, you're a junior, and you feel good about where you're at. Talk about what you expect from yourself the rest of the season.
Well, I'm also a captain, so I need to lead the team as best as I can, set a good example, and yeah, I guess that's it.
So there, in every facet of life, there's drama. Sometimes in athletics, there's even more drama. As a captain, how do you handle that if you see that sort of percolating a little bit? How do you handle that?
I would talk to the person that it's going on with, tell them that it's not worth it, and just to have fun.
Talk about who maybe inspired you when you were young and helped you sort of grow and become interested in athletics.
Well, my whole family is kind of all into athletics. My dad would always take me to the gym when I was younger. He always signs me up to do every single camp I can. I do AAU ball in the summer and spring, so that's also good. So my dad has just been like a really big impact.
Is it too much, though, sometimes being involved in all that, and then plus playing AAU and then doing some volleyball and all that stuff?
It gets kind of crazy sometimes, but it's fun, so it's okay.
And Cinda, a guard, you play softball, I noticed that, and plus you're a leader, and your expectations for yourself are high. Balancing everything, and is that hard for you?
Sometimes, and then having to drive half an hour to school, it's hard to like find time for everything, but my parents really helped me manage my time really well.
Role models when you were younger, reflect back down memory lane.
Definitely my dad. He's been my coach for softball since I was in t-ball. He just encourages me in everything I do, and if I'm struggling with something, he'll either help me or find someone who will help me.
Awesome. Best spiritual advice given to you as a Christian athlete?
I think to put God first in everything I do and to give Him the glory. It's not about the name on the back of the jersey or on the front. It's about God. You're praising God in everything that you do.
You think about that when you're playing and competing?
I do. I think about it a lot, that if something runs through my mind about something that just happened, I'll be like, would God want me to react to what just happened that way? And then I just calm down a little bit.
Wow, that's impressive, and I know that's what you're all about too. And best spiritual advice that's ever been given to you, Caitlin?
Just give God all the glory. I guess the same thing she said, kind of. Just play to the best of the ability that God gave you, because He gave us all talents to play the sport, and just give it all.
Coach, I know you've had a lot of success. We talked about you're in your 22nd season. You're approaching 300 wins, a milestone. But life lessons that you teach besides the skills of basketball, I'm sure they're all spiritually driven. Are there any that you look to each and every year?
Yeah, I think the girls kind of hit on it. It's just every single one of us has been blessed with some talent. The talent we have in common on the basketball court is that ability to play. And what's most important is to always use that talent to the best of your ability and always to God's glory.
Update us on your family, because your kids have been on our show.
All right, Emma is in Washington. She has 4 kids, just had twins last fall, or last spring actually, coaching basketball over in Washington. Elizabeth has got 2 kids in the Madison area. Erica's teaching in Arkansas, and the boys are in college.
Good. So how many grandchildren?
We have 6 now.
6? Mm-hmm. Well, you got a little work to do to catch up to me. We have 15.
I know.
But that'll probably happen too.
Yep.
Caitlin, define leadership.
It is setting a good example to everyone on your team, having a good attitude, and just having a godlike attitude and just being a good example.
Any disappointments you've had in sports?
Yes. Last spring in track, we were competing at sectionals, and I'm the anchor in the 4x2 relay, and I was running, and I was in 3rd, I think, and about 10 meters from the finish line, and my legs just gave out and I fell, and we didn't get to go to state.
Knowing you, though, and your resilience, I'm sure you persevered, and it'll be a good life lesson, and you'll go on and accomplish even more.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's a good plan. Cinda, define leadership.
I think it's putting others before yourself and showing them what it's like to have a good attitude and to pushing them to be the best they can be.
If you had some disappointments that maybe have bothered you and you've grown from them?
I quit volleyball my freshman year, and I've just sort of gave up. And I don't do anything in the fall, and I sort of wish I did something. I mean, I play softball in the fall, but I wish I did something in high school.
Now you're a junior, so when you graduate, any thoughts about what you may do?
I want to go into fitness science and be a strength coach.
Good. I bet you'll be good at that. And Caitlin, too, you have a while to make up your mind, but you're probably going to pursue something.
I don't know really what I want to do yet. Maybe business or communications, something like that.
Well, there's a business I know that you maybe can join, and you can kind of step over your brothers and take over Lewis and Monument someday.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Coach, it's been a pleasure having you. Each and every year you come on, and you're so gracious to bring your student athletes, and we appreciate you, and we'll follow you. And we do a lot of games at Luther, as you well know, on both the boys and the girls side. So we'll look forward to doing some more after the first of the year.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. Well, again, the first part of the show we had Jessi Maedke along with Allison Beagle and Caitlin Kennedy and Cinda Protzman on our show. So appreciate you, all of you being on.
Thank you for having us.
We'll be back with some film clips right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, 3 big games recently, and Rick and I were at courtside to bring you all of the action. First, let's start in West Salem with the Panthers hosting the GET Redhawks. First-year head coach Steve Kashischmidt versus the veteran GET coach Mark Wagner with 8 Cooley Conference championships. Building a 37-29 halftime lead, the GET Redhawks looked strong out of the gate. But the second half belonged to the Panthers as they out-hustled the Redhawks, capturing a 62-57 win. Hunter Wakefield had a double-double, 11 rebounds and 11 points. Trenton Foreman and Dylan Godlewski had 14 points each, as Malachi Athnos contributed 13. Tyler Shear led GET with 20 points, while Chris Thompson added 17. We moved to the Logan Fieldhouse for an inter-city doubleheader. First, the Logan Girls versus the Central Red Raiders. Central's 1-3-1 zone defense created numerous problems for Logan as they built a commanding 22-8 halftime lead. The Rangers managed to get their offense going somewhat in the second half, scoring 14 points, but still struggled to find their offensive rhythm. Central was led by junior Heather Opitz with a game-high 12 points, 8 points apiece from Sophie Leinfelder and from Rachel Peterson. Logan was led by sophomore Claire Borsheim with 10 points. The Rangers fall to 1-13 on the season and will be at Holman on January 16th. Central picks up its very first win in the conference and will play at Sparta on Friday. Final score, Central 50, Logan 22. The nightcap on Tuesday featured the boys' version of the doubleheader, with number 3 ranked Central looking to pick up another win. The game started slow, with both teams playing an aggressive man-to-man defense. At intermission, Central held a 31-18 lead. Logan's intensity picked up in the second half, outscoring the Red Raiders 39-37. But the slow start proved to be the deciding factor. The inside battle of Logan's McGuire Werner versus Central's Terrence Thompson was an exciting matchup. Both played well in the post. Logan's C.J. Siegel was honored before the game as he eclipsed the 1,000-point mark on his career. He then went on to score a record 25 points for the Rangers. Central was led by Johnny Davis with 22 points, Terrence Thompson 16, and Noah Parcher 12. Logan's Kelvin Maven scored 14 before falling out. Final score, Central 68, Logan 59. Both teams are at the Midwest Players Classic on Saturday. Logan facing Stoughton at 11:30. Central, a matchup with Woodbury at 8:15. And we'll be there to bring you all those games in the Midwest Players Classic on Saturday. Well, that's the show this week. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping you will have an exciting, interesting, and an active week ahead.